Welcome to JAPEC Community Life Magazine. I am Justice. I am here with State Representative Bruce Anton, I believe.
Yes, Bruce Anton.
And what we're going to do is review some of your job history, okay? Because I guarantee you're running again.
Right.
But right now I want to discuss your job and what you're doing here.
Okay.
So why don't you tell my viewers, and your viewers of course, a little bit about you.
Okay.
And what your job is.
Okay. Yeah, I'm state representative for the 46th district here in Florida, so I'm here in Central Florida. But as a state representative, I am the person that represents your voice in Tallahassee. So I have 170,000 constituents in my district, and again, I'm your voice. I'm that person that votes for you. I represent you in the 120-member House of Representatives. And so we deal with 3,000 different pieces of legislation every year: education, energy related, water conservation, economic development issues, criminal justice issues, healthcare issues. And again, I'm that person in Tallahassee that processes all that information and tries to make the right vote, the best vote, to represent the wishes of the people in my district, but at the same time trying to make the right decision for the entire state of Florida.
Okay, so let's break this thing down then. You talked about the economic and growth and development, okay? For viewers who doesn't know exactly what that means, could you explain it and then explain what you have achieved?
Okay, well, in terms of economic development, what we're talking about is how do we create jobs? How do we help businesses? How do we help them become more profitable? How do we incentivize new companies, new businesses to come to the state of Florida? And then how do we provide, say, technical assistance to those startup businesses, the lawn care maintenance person, the daycare operator, the hair salon, the clothing store? How do we help them in terms of streamlining that process so they can get up and running, get their doors open, hire employees, and make a profit and hire additional employees? And again, what I've done there, one of the biggest things I've done is there's something called the National Entrepreneurship Center, which is located in Fashion Square here in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
And they provide technical assistance to startup businesses and businesses that are currently operating. And so they came to me about 2 years ago wanting some money to continue their operations. They wanted $1 million. I was able to get them $800,000. And so they've been able to help just thousands of businesses here in Central Florida, as well as other businesses across the state of Florida. So that's one of the things I've done. Sitting on the Economic Development and Tourism Committee, again, those issues come across the table, we consider them, and so it's providing tax incentives for some businesses, it's reducing regulation for other businesses so it's not as costly for them to do business. It's providing funding for road construction. Okay. And again, mainly it's just making sure that we're doing the right things to create the proper business climate, a business-friendly climate here in Central Florida and the entire state of Florida.
Okay. Now, when you talked about, now that the viewers have that, if they need to get in contact with you, then they should just call you, or should it be a certain steps that they should follow first, or they just come and find you, and then you help them out with everything? How does all that work?
The best way to reach me is to call my office, and again, it's 407-443-5313. And again, the phone number is 407-443-5313. If they want to email me, they can email me at Carolyn, CAROLYN, .Austin, AUSTIN, at myfloridahouse.gov, and that's one word, or Pamela, PAMELA, .Newton, NEWTON, at myfloridahouse.gov.
I appreciate you giving that information. I normally wait until it's over, but apparently you got that out there.
Okay.
All right, now when you talked about education, that seems to be a high level here. What exactly are you doing as far as education?
Okay.
And have done?
Okay. In terms of education, again, every year just trying to make sure that we're increasing the amount of money for education funding that then is dispersed to the various school districts and to the various schools. One of my pet projects for the past couple of years has been the creation of something I call an Urban Teacher Training Academy. And so I have a district where we have all these schools in the urban community. It's schools filled with kids from high poverty communities. The teachers are not always properly prepared or trained to teach in these schools, because some of these kids come to school with all sorts of problems. They're hungry, they're homeless, they might have been physically abused at home, verbally abused at home. They come to school sometimes with a number of different issues that the teachers have to deal with before they can even begin to educate the kids. So my Urban Teacher Training Academy, which is located at the University of Central Florida, just teaches these teachers best practices. How do you best prepare yourself to go into an urban school where there might be all sorts of issues that you have to deal with? And then what are the things that you can do to gain control of your classroom, counsel this kid, deal with this kid that has homelessness issues? How do you deal with this kid that might have been verbally sexually abused at home? But then again, how do you take your skills and educate these kids in spite of any myriad
Now,
of
this
issues?
program is implemented through the state, I assume, correct? Or is
Through
it
the
just
University of Central Florida.
University of Central Florida. Okay, now let me ask you this. With me, everybody know I do both sides. If later on we wanted to actually get someone from that program, we would be able to set it up through you. And the teachers who don't know about the program, of course, they can get the information and contact you too.
Right.
Okay. Now, earlier you spoke about some other things besides those two items. What were they?
Okay. Well, earlier, I would say the other things
You
that
dealing with
focus on-
veterans? Are you doing anything?
I don't
with that?
really
You
do
don't?
a whole lot
Okay.
with veterans. When veterans call my office, we generally refer veterans to the Department of Veterans Affairs. And so the state of Florida has an office called the Department of Veterans Affairs. And so
And then they
refer-
handle it.
Yeah. they
Now,
handle that.
some of your other projects that you have achieved, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, some of the other projects basically would just be funding issues. As you know, here in Central Florida, there's a huge project to widen I-4. And so as that project moves forward, some of the roads will be closed down. Buses will have to take longer routes, they have to burn more fuel, drivers have to be paid overtime. So I got linked some additional funding to help pay for additional buses, fuel, overtime costs, and things like that nature. There's another project in my community called the Orange Blossom Trail Development Board.
Right.
And the Orange Blossom Trail Development Board is tasked with redeveloping everything along Orange Blossom Trail from Colonial Drive on the north side, south to the Florida Mall.
Okay.
And so, got them $500,000 this year just to do some additional master planning. Coming up with a new, updated master plan on how to redevelop this area, and especially right here around the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida. And then how to find those additional resources, developers, and things of that nature. Another big focus of mine has been the community school at Evans High School. The community school is nothing more than a school within a school. And its purpose is to bring together the community, address all those things or those issues that are preventing kids from learning, and then to partner up with the greater community, the business community, and bring resources to the table to address those issues. So, got them $1.5 million this year. And again, they have a medical and dental clinic in that school, at Evans High School. And so that medical and dental clinic is open to anybody in the community.
So let me ask you this. I see you have leading positions. You are ranking member of the Government Operation or Appropriation Subcommittee.
Right.
Tell the viewers exactly what that means and what the job is or what the
Okay.
mission is. Because here's the thing, my magazine is about knowledge.
Right.
And it's about getting people so that they understand the appropriate people they need to contact. A lot of people may not even know what that does or what the meaning is. It just sounds like a bunch of words. So let's break that down. Each thing that you have done, let's just start breaking it down so people can get to know who you are.
Okay.
So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, as the ranking member on the Government Operations Appropriations, I am the lead Democrat.
Okay, so what
On
does
that
that,
committee.
what does the Appropriation Subcommittee do? What is it
Okay.
about? I mean, because here's the thing.
Right.
Nobody really knows half
Right,
of the people
right,
when
right.
you tell them I'm a subcommittee. Well, what is that?
Right.
What does it mean? What do they do?
Right.
They just have a meeting and what do they discuss? Is it growth in economics? Is it child care? To be honest with you, what is it?
Well, the Government Operations Appropriations is the committee that appropriates money for some of the basic functions
Like what?
of running state. So the Division of Elections that handles elections. We provide money for the Department of Veterans Affairs that deals with veterans. We provide money for the department that deals with information technology for the state of Florida. So we fund that entire operation that sets up the information technology system for the state of Florida. So this committee is just providing money for just the basic operations. Governor's office, some of the departments in the state of Florida, Division of Elections, Veterans Affairs, and things of that nature. But as the ranking member, it is my responsibility to make sure that all the members, especially all of the Democratic members on my committee, are prepared and they're knowledgeable about the issues that will be coming before the committee. And then it's my purpose or my task to make sure I count the votes and make sure I know how everybody's going to vote and to make sure that my Democratic members are voting the proper way.
Now, let's keep moving in it. You have something else on the leadership positions. Now, what is lunch and learn sessions, Walmart, payday, or what are these things? Because, you have it, we're looking at what you do.
Right.
So, tell me about that. Is that a program you came up with, or was it something?
Yeah, it is. And that's a good question. My Lunch and Learn series was an attempt or initiative of mine to make sure that the African American Democratic members in the House of Representatives were educated on the issues. So as major issues come up, say Walmart wants to begin selling hard liquor inside their stores. They don't want to have a separate interest where you go into another part of the store outside and buy liquor, but they want to begin selling hard liquor within the store. So what I do with my Lunch and Learn is we have a lunch session once a week. And I'll invite Walmart in to come talk about their issue. Say the lottery, we have some questions about how the lottery is spending their funds. How are they spending their advertising funds, especially when it comes to minority-owned papers and media outlets. So we'll have the lottery come in, Florida lottery come in and talk about what are you doing with this $36 million that you spend on advertising? Who are you spending it with? Are you flooding certain communities with an excessive number of ads because you're preying on? Some of the other issues might be dealing with an AMSCOT. Everybody's concerned about AMSCOTs and payday loans taking advantage of poor folks. So we'll bring the payday loan
and have basically meetings to try to settle something and find out what's going on.
And have them educate us on exactly what they're doing.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up. Now, let's move to the next one, minority whip. To say that, I ain't got it clear, and I don't want to go back in time with this thing when I say the word whip. So I basically need to know, what is that about?
Well, as a minority whip is a leadership position. And so we probably have 6 whips in the... 6 whips? Yeah, in the 39 member...
I ain't keen on that word, but I'm going to go with it.
Yeah, we have a whip, a deputy whip, and then 4 minority whips.
I won't be involved in all that. I don't like the word.
So
what does it mean?
What we do is we divide the caucus up. So if it's 39 members, each one of us has 9 Democratic members that we have to talk to on a daily basis and make sure they have enough information to vote on the issues. And we count votes. That's all it is. So if we need to have 39 votes to support a specific issue, then it's my job as a minority whip to go talk to my 9 people and make sure I know how they're voting so we know that we have the votes.
Now, moving along, because sooner or later, what I am going to do is I always do our follow-up. So I want to have an interview with you on these in detail or go to some of the meetings to let the public know what's going on, because that's what's needed. We have to break we have to start a link between the government and the people. And we have to bring things together. So the next thing is, it says you're the Vice Chairman of the Agriculture Committee. Okay, what is your detail in that? Because I have met other people, so you tell me your detail on that.
Well, that's a position I held actually when I served in the legislature 10 years ago. And so I was one of 3 Democrats that were actually vice chairman.
And you still hold the position today?
I no longer hold that position.
Okay.
But again, I was just the vice chair of the agriculture committee, so when the chairman was not there, I ran the meetings.
Okay.
And so again, we dealt with agriculture issues, we dealt with water issues, we dealt with energy issues.
So let me ask you this question. We're gonna move to the next one while we investigate what it is you do. You have, you was the vice president of, I assume vice chairman. So let me ask you this: what is the Conference of Black State Legislators? What is that about? And that way our viewers can understand that, because the important thing is to get the knowledge where people understand when certain terms come up, whether you're in this state or in another state, you know what their mission is, you know what their job is. So tell me a little bit about that.
Okay.
What is your job? What was your job?
Yeah, the Florida Conference of Black State Legislators is basically all of the African American legislators, African American Caribbean legislators that are members of the Florida legislature. So it's the 6 senators that are African American or Caribbean, and the 20 members in the House of Representatives that are African American or Caribbean. Haitian,
And what would the conference consist of?
It's those 26 members. And
No. What is the mission of the
Oh,
conference?
our mission is to be the advocate for minority issues.
Okay.
In the legislature. So issues that are specific to the African American, Caribbean, Jamaican, Haitian community.
Okay. So that's what I needed from you.
Right.
Because a lot of people may say, what's the conference about? What is this about? Why are they meeting? Okay. Now you also apparently are part of, I guess, black local elected officials, black caucus, is that what it is?
Yeah, the Black Caucus.
Okay. So what does, now I'm asking this because so far, let's get into it now. A lot of people are saying that some of these caucuses, along with the NAACP, hasn't done anything.
Right.
And the major group out here is Black Lives Movement. Okay.
Right.
So let's call this 2 things I want. How would you join?
Okay.
What are they doing right now
Okay.
for the community?
Okay.
And what are their mission? And in fact, I will be an investigator that if I can get the information from you, I want to go talk to that guy and I want to show up there and speak. So anyway, justice has to move forward.
Okay.
Tell me, what is it that the Black Caucus does? Because to be honest with you, I haven't seen anything, and a lot of other people.
Right.
So we're wondering, what are you guys doing now?
Okay. Okay. Well,
what are their job? In other words, what's the mission? Let's start off with that.
the Central Florida Caucus of Black Local Elected Officials is an organization of black elected officials in Central Florida.
Okay.
So we go as far north as Seminole County. But it's the state representative, the state senator, the congressional person, the city commissioners, the county commissioners, and the school board members. And it includes the town of Edenville, and it includes the 1 African American elected official in Seminole County. So again, our job really is to come together and advocate for issues that are of importance to the African American community. So we've kind of been this loosely formed group for the past 10 years.
So the conference and the caucus,
2 different things.
two different titles.
Right. The Florida Conference of Black State Legislators is state legislators, state senators, state representatives. The Central Florida Caucus of Black Local Elected Officials is any black elected official in Central Florida.
Okay. All right. I want to make sure there's 2 different things. Now the Black Caucus and them still handle the same issues of minorities. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you got 2 groups that's doing the same, almost doing the same thing.
But on 2 different levels, though.
On 2 different. One is state and one is local.
Yeah, one is state and one is local. Yeah.
Okay. So that's the difference with caucus and legislative.
Right.
See, that's what we need to know.
Yeah.
So the caucus one, you guys get together, and the mission is to deal with the local thing.
Right.
And then the other one takes the bigger step, like the small business and big business.
Right. Yeah.
We're assuming this, or I want to make sure I got this
No,
right.
you're right. But again, the caucus of the Central Florida Caucus of local black elected officials is just dealing with issues.
Okay.
That pertain
And
to the black
do this
community in
because
Central Florida.
I may have people who don't know. Give me a example of one and then an example of another.
Okay.
That way they know if they got to contact somebody. Knowledge is power. Which group to contact concerning something.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? You understand what I'm asking?
Right.
Okay.
Well, the best place to start, if you're talking about or you want information on an issue that deals with the state,
Water or
Department
something.
of Education,
Or
water,
okay.
agriculture, Veterans Affairs, corrections, Department of Transportation, Department of Economic Opportunity, then you would contact me or someone in the Florida Conference of Black State Legislators, especially if it's dealing with an issue pertaining specifically to African Americans and minorities. If it's a local issue, excessive use force, zoning, planning, trash pickup, garbage collection, what have you, permitting, then you would contact one of the local black elected officials, or ideally whoever your local elected official is, whether they be black, white, Hispanic, Haitian, Jamaican, or what have you.
Now you've already told us about the committees that you belong to. You write that down early, education, K-12 education, and all of that. Now let me ask you this. When it comes, if someone wants this job, or if some other blacks want to get into politics, name some things that they really need to look at carefully before they get into this.
That's a good question. And I would say anybody that wants to serve in any elected position, whether it be city council, county commission, school board, state representative, state senator, really needs to get out and about in the community and begin to volunteer, begin to ask for appointments to some of the local boards. Planning board, citizens review board, zoning board, board of zoning adjustment, parks and recreation. But they really need to sit on some boards and they need to volunteer some organizations, whether it's the Urban League, NAACP, Juvenile Diabetes Foundation, what have you. But anybody seeking to run for elected office needs to have some hands-on experience and involvement in the community.
Okay. Now, you've been in this community for a while. What do you find that's some of the problems and issues going here that you've tried to work on, and not only that, still needs to get worked on?
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
Just name a couple, because I'm not going to hold you too much longer.
Well, one of the biggest ones is just safety, crime. You know, that's just an ongoing issue. How do we make our community safe? How do we reduce crime? The other one is just aesthetics of the community that nobody pays attention to. It's the trash being picked up, or the medians along the major roads being cleaned, grass cut. Somebody coming out to make sure all the graffiti is spray painted over, covered over. Schools. Again, what are we doing to make sure that our kids are not dropping out of school?
So let's do this now. Now we're going to get to the nitty gritty. I'm looking down here, and there's bills that you've dealt with. Okay, so we're going to run through a couple of them real quick, and there's some that you've already spoken of, which is great. That means I don't have to ask them. Student discipline. What bill was this, and what was consistent in this?
Well, there's been a lot of talk about the school to prison pipeline. So African American kids, Hispanic kids being basically written up, suspended, expelled for minor offenses, which then gets them kicked out of school, which then it leads to them going into the correction system. And so the student discipline bill that I found with State Senator Dwight Bullitt out of Miami was just to provide some alternative means and ways to discipline a child. In-school suspension, community service, or what have you. Just alternative ways to keep that kid in school without expelling or suspending that kid. And so just trying to reduce the chances that that kid will somehow be funneled into the local jails or the correction system.
Now let me ask you this. Now, speaking of bills, I want you to tell our viewers what would they need to do to get a bill. Let's say you want to fight for something, it's in your heart and the passion. Do they come to you, or how do they go each step? And then here's the thing. I like to get into that, and then later maybe get a 1, 2, 3 from you that we can put on that website so people can understand what they need to do to get a bill, to at least get it go before, to get some sort of thing. Because we have a lot of stuff going on. And what is the process? Or should they come to you with a write-up, a proposal, or how does all this work?
Well, a bill is nothing more than an idea or proposal for a law that someone believes is needed. I'll give you a perfect example. The Florida High School Student Government Association. They meet every year, and they came up with these ideas, these thoughts, and they said, look, the funding for sports programs in our school has been cut. The funding for drama, art, music programs in our schools have been cut. And so where can we find some additional funding to pay for sports equipment, the football field, the volleyball team, or what have you, or where can we find money to help subsidize the cost of putting on plays, theaters, musicals, or whatever in our school? So they came up with this idea, how about if we put a $1 surcharge on every ticket sold to a professional sports event in the state of Florida. So you got NBA basketball, you got minor league baseball, you got professional football, you got MMA, you got boxing here in Florida, and then you have the Daytona Beach Speedway. Okay. And so let's say if we put $1 on every ticket sold here in the state of Florida, that will funnel money back to each of the high schools in the state of Florida. So when we did the math, that was basically $20,000 per high school in the state of Florida.
Okay.
And then they also said, how about if we put $1 surcharge on every ticket sold to a concert, musical, play, what have you. And again, we found out that would be...
So that's the way to go about a bill, but they come to you.
Yeah, they would come to me or any state senator, any state representative. Right. They can come and just have a meeting. They can come with some ideas written on paper, or it can be a phone call.
And then you take it to the next step, and then they can just follow up with you.
And then we'll just kind of flesh it out.
Okay.
You know.
Now we're gonna get ready to get to some nitty gritty.
Right. Okay.
Right? Now you also apparently you did what is this FDL, use of deadly force?
Right.
Was that a bill that you and how? Tell me a little bit about the bill and where you're at with the bill.
Okay. Well, that was a bill that I came up with, and it's Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and this would be a database that catalogs or records when law enforcement or correctional officers have used force that resulted in serious body injury. So when we're talking about all this Black Lives Matter stuff, when officers tased someone and it resulted in a heart attack or death, when they shot someone and it resulted in a serious injury or death, or when they beat someone real bad, you know, we need to have a database where we can begin to track every time an officer uses force. And this database would then determine if there's a problem with a specific officer, is there a problem with a specific police agency in the state of Florida or sheriff. And so I filed this bill the first time in 2015, and basically it would say we're going to create this database. So anytime a correctional officer or law enforcement officer, even including officers...
Now, is it created now?
Well, it is.
It is. Now, who would I go to further that information?
I can give you that information.
All right, and we're going to do a follow-up on that. Now, also, because I know your time is short and I know you have to roll, stand your ground. Apparently, you had a bill that you implemented on that too.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about this.
Okay,
right here.
Well, and that's a good one. Now, the stand your ground...
What does that law mean? Because here's the thing. I've got people up north, all over the place, contacting me and says, okay, well, you had one case.
Right.
But it seems to me on that case, the person who got left out or died or passed away actually was standing the ground. It was the chaser that got away. So that's what I'm saying too. So stand your ground should be, this is my understanding, you come after me, I stand my ground, I open up a can on you.
Well,
now why is it reverse? And the bill you presented, is this bill going to support this, or what would we have to do to get this thing done?
All right. Let me tell you what happened. Back around 2004, 2005, that was a bill introduced in the Florida House and Florida Senate that dealt with the castle doctrine. So basically that said if someone was trying to break in your home, you had a right to defend yourself and your home. And so this bill was passed, and at the time, man, the justification for the bill was all of these carjackings, folks getting jacked at the grocery store, 7-Eleven, all these home invasion robberies. So this bill was passed, but it had a whole lot of stuff in there that nobody really paid attention to. One of the things in that bill, when that law passed, says, okay, if I claim stand your ground, then you can't arrest me. Okay? You just gotta let me go. Okay? It did away with law enforcement being able to arrest and detain somebody. And it also said they no longer had to do an investigation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
if
now
somebody
I'm getting more
claim-
information. Okay.
Yeah, if someone claims stand your ground, then, well, they can just stand their ground. Okay, so there's a lot of holes.
Okay. And what you presented
And what I
was,
presented was, we were gonna restore the authority for law enforcement to arrest. Well, restore
And
the
investment.
authority to detain and or arrest a person involved in a stand your ground case.
okay,
Okay. It would then give them or require law enforcement to complete a standard investigation.
Okay.
So regardless of whether somebody claims stand your ground, they had to go through the exercise of doing a complete investigation. Okay, another part of this bill was going to create a database. So anytime someone claims stand your ground,
it's in there.
it would be in that
And
database.
that way they can look at it and see how many times they claimed
Right,
it.
and it would
Gotcha.
say, here's the circumstances surrounding it. It went to court, and here was the ruling on it,
Well,
and who's involved.
Here's what I like to do too. You've accomplished and sent a lot of bills. And I'm gathering from what I'm learning now, and I'm hoping the viewers learn, that your job isn't just sitting in the office, your job is actually to get out. And anybody who wants the position need to know about writing a bill and how to present it. So let's get that out in the open right now.
Okay.
Now, with these bills right here that seem to be throughout the entire country right now, you're presenting a great idea, I will give you that, but what I do want to do is follow up very soon where the database is, who's controlling it,
Okay.
all of this stuff that you're talking about. Of course, everybody knows me, I do a background.
Right.
When you tell me I'm going to do a reality check on you,
Right.
I'm going to do a fact check, as we call it in the magazine,
And
to
that's
find
fair
out what exactly you've done. What is it about? Now, you brought up some valuable things. I want to find this law or this bill, if you got a copy, before I leave here. I want to find a bill that says what it is you created and some of these bills that you have here. Now, we're going to move on because we've got to get a closing in this, and it is running.
Okay.
You have air ambulance reimbursement increases. What is that?
Well, the air ambulance.
And this is a bill you wrote.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this air ambulance was a bill done for the ambulance service
Okay.
that flies out from a hospital and picks up someone who's been seriously injured in an automobile accident or what have you. The reimbursement rate now for an air ambulance is like $1,500.
Who's picking up the tab?
It could be Medicaid, it could be somebody's insurance. And so the air ambulance provider says it costs us $7,500 to leave the hospital, to fly out, pick up somebody, bring them back to provide all the treatment. And so this bill was just a mechanism put in place to start the discussion on increasing the reimbursement.
Now I'm going to have to call you on this right here.
Yeah.
Are you saying we got to get one bill to start and then get the main bill? So we got to start a discussion with them and then see if the bill will go. That's the procedure?
That's what happens most times. It generally takes 2 or 3 years to pass a piece of legislation, a major piece of legislation. So sometimes just by introducing a bill, it forces a discussion of an issue.
So the people who come to you should not expect this thing done in a couple of months and then say you didn't do the job.
Right.
That's what we need to put out there. Exactly what is, let's say a bare minimum to a max, how many months should they wait and then come back to you to get an update? Or are they going to, because what you just said earlier, somebody in their mind may say, I'm going to go to him with a proposal. Go take it in. That's the cue on it. And then when you can't get it done quick enough or there's no response, they don't understand that there is a pre.
Right.
Before you go again to get it done. So explain that to my people. I want to make sure I'm right. Am I correct?
Right. That's a good question. There's only one opportunity a year to actually enact legislation. And
One opportunity.
Yeah, and that is during the 60-day regular legislative session.
So let me see if I got this straight. You guys are meeting every year, all during the year. They give you 60 days to come up with something one time a year.
Right.
To take care of everything.
And let me make sure. 60-day regular session, which is generally it starts the first Tuesday in March. And it ends the first weekend in May. So it's 60 consecutive days. So that is when both the House and the Senate meet. And so anything that becomes law has to pass both the House and the Senate and be signed into law by the governor, or the governor can do something via an executive order
Okay.
and make law. So, if you gave me something in May, the earliest that it could become a law would be the following May.
That's what I need. Well, look, I'm gonna give you about a minute or two
Okay.
to say goodbye to our people, and then we look forward to investigating what you have done and looking forward into the true meaning. So I appreciate your time, and say some words and we'll be done.
Hey, but I just really appreciate this interview, and I guess I need to be a little bit more clear in my answers, but this is a good start, a good way of educating the voting population about how government works, how issues, how ideas, how proposals become law. And so I would just suggest that anybody that wants information about legislation, that needs help with an issue in their community, they contact my office at 407-445-5313. And again, 407-445-5313. I'm State Representative Bruce Antone. I represent the district, the 46th district in the Florida House of Representatives. Again, I just thank you for this opportunity, for this conversation, for this discussion. Thank you.